So, I'm pretty sure y'all are all tired of being cooped up in your own houses for so long. I'm sure when this quarantine is over, you're going to want to get out of the house. Perhaps you might want to go on a vacation. But what I often find is that people don't really know the best way to plan a vacation. They may simply type their destination into a GPS and then do whatever it says. I know about a alternative method that my family has relied on for years, and today I would like to teach you how to use that alternative method. While we do this, I'm going to give my trip to South Dakota as a general guideline. So, the first thing that would come in handy are maps. Right here on the left is a nationwide map. This is good for letting you scout out the area. It lets you see how far away your selected destination is. Now this is more for cross-country travel, and if you don't feel like you can go across country, there are plenty of destinations near here, like Hershey Park, Kennywood, Pittsburgh. They have a lot of attractions in Pittsburgh. But a nationwide map is good for scouting out a cross-country trip. Now here on the right is a state map. This is more specific. It shows exit signs and some roads you might not see on a nationwide map. Now, it's always recommended that any state that you think you may spend a considerable amount of time in, you get the state map for that. Now, you might be wondering why you would need to see the states in between your destination. That's because it's kind of going to be boring if you just take the route the GPS takes you. As I can show you here on the left, this is what the GPS told us to do when I typed in Mount Rushmore from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It just takes us on this one practically straight road down this highway. If you take this, you would be either driving nonstop or stopping at whatever hotel first comes to you. Now when you plan it out, you can see what's around you. This is the actual trip we took. We went through Ohio and Indiana, then went up to Wisconsin, and then swooped back down under South Dakota to Nebraska, then went further down to Colorado, then came up through Wyoming and into our destination, Mount Rushmore. Now you might be wondering, well, I might not even know what's in between me and my destination. That's how you find this out. AAA, the same company that offered the maps that I showed you, they have these tour books, which they show destinations, attractions, restaurants, hotels. They have a rating system of 3 diamonds, 3 being the best, 1 being the worst. And then there's websites like TripAdvisor. They function the same way the tour books work. Of course, it's online. I typed in Gettysburg on there, and it took me to places like Little Round Top, Devil's Den, the Visitor Center. And then the state maps that I talked about before, they have specific maps of national and state parks sometimes. Here's the one for South Dakota. It gives a map of the Black Hills area, which is where Mount Rushmore is located, and then it gives a map of the Badlands, which is a bunch of rocky hills and valleys that stretch out for miles. It's a pretty amazing sight to see. So we made use of this by, instead of course, just taking the straight route there, we visited John Wayne's birthplace in Iowa. We visited the Stanley Hotel in Colorado Estes Park, which is the building that the movie The Shining was based off of. Then we visited Buffalo Bill's house in Nebraska, and I was unable to take a picture of it, but also in Nebraska there is the world's largest train yard. I would not want to work there. It seems stressful. Now you might be wondering where you're going to stay overnight. Hotels can be expensive. I think the national average right now is about $130 a night, which is why there are alternative methods like campgrounds. America Reserve says that a common campground may only be about $20 a night, and as far as essentials like tents, sleeping bags, if you do the bare minimum and live primitively, which can give you a good thrill, it would only be about $180. And then if you do want to do hotels, here we have TripAdvisor websites. We have the Travelocity known to tell us that Travelocity exists. Here's my own little tip. What you want to do is stay outside of big cities, obviously because of traffic, but also because of danger. For example, when we visited Graceland, which is Elvis's house, well, Graceland is located in Memphis, Tennessee, and according to Forbes, that's the 4th most dangerous city in America. So we had to stay at a hotel about 20 miles out of Memphis. And we did have to drive through Memphis. That was rough. I don't want to do that again. So, what I want you to know is that traveling isn't as intimidating as it seems. Many people say, oh, I don't have time or I don't have money, but you can really cut down the costs depending on where you go and where you stay. Again, if you don't want to travel across country, there are plenty of destinations within like 4 hours of here. You could go to a cheap campground with cheap supplies to cut down drastically your overnight funds. And really, it can just be a fun experience. I fondly remember every single vacation I've taken ever since I was 5 when we visited New Hampshire. And what I enjoy, actually, is taking photos of all these locations. 90% of the photos you've seen in here were taken by me, actually. So what else can I say besides go out there if you can and have a good vacation.